In 2006, I was 23 years old, and I was 3 years from buying a house, living at home in my parents' place, and I was 4 years into the rekindled hobby of rail fanning. I'd been into trains since I was a very young child, essentially my whole life, but the interest had kind of ebbed in high school until my senior year of high school when the Bangor and Aroostook Railroad went into bankruptcy. And when that happened, I really got into the photography and the historical documentation. And then that progressed into artistic photography. But in 2006, I was on my third camera. It was an Olympus E500 digital SLR, and I was finally working with a camera that had capabilities past what I could do with it. And it was a really great time. I had a full time job. Then I picked up a second job, which was to work 1 day a week, sometimes two, at the Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad. And my job was to follow the steam locomotive on its excursion train with the fire wagon and put out any fires that the steam locomotive started. Well, I worked all summer of 2006, like I say, 1 day, sometimes 2 days a week, and I didn't put out a single fire. So I was literally chasing a train and getting paid for it and didn't have to really work all that hard. Never put out a single fire. It was great. It was a great summer. And back in 2006, things were a lot different, and it wasn't as big of a deal to show up to work at a railroad with your camera. And so I brought my camera and I took it with me everywhere I went and took a lot of pictures, a lot of behind the scenes kind of pictures where you couldn't get, into those places unless you were an employee. And as a result, I have like these great behind the scenes pictures that I really cherish from my time working there. And it was so insanely cool to be able to say, "Yep, I'm 23 and I work for a railroad." Okay, fine, it was a passenger railroad and it was part-time, but still, I got a paycheck. So, I worked for a railroad. And years later, when things changed at the Belfast and Moosehead Lake and it was taken over by a different nonprofit, and I became a volunteer, we looked around one day and we realized that there were only three of us in the room that had worked for the Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad in one form or another. And of those three, two of us are technically still active, and one has stepped away. So it was a really cool thing to say, no, 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 I've actually worked here. And on August 13th, I took of excuse me, August 13th of 2006, I took this picture, which would later go on the front cover of my book, The Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad, published in 2017. And when I realized that the date was coming up for a 20th anniversary of this picture, I got a hold of my dad, who now owns this particular motor car, and said to him, "Hey, Dad, wouldn't it be cool if we could put this on the rail and recreate this shot 20 years later?" He was okay with it. President of the railroad was okay with it. Here we are. Now we go for a ride. As I'm running this motor car for the first time since my dad restored it, I'm struck by how much has happened between the first time I ran this and now. 20 years. The Belfast and Moosehead Lake was run by one nonprofit when I first ran this, and then that nonprofit shut down and the railroad was shut down for a year. Then the current nonprofit came in to run it. I got to run this car again after they bought it. Then one of the other members really wanted to own it. Then my dad bought it from him and restored it to its 2006 appearance, because was how it looked when I ran it. My friend Sean Duran came down one day and photographed me running this car, complete with a B&ML t-shirt. I still have it. I realized as I was putting together this video that I'm extremely fortunate. How many people can say that they have run the same vehicle over the same rails, no less, over 20 years? A lot has changed for me, the railroad, for this motor car, but with a little luck, this car and I will continue to run on this railroad for more decades, adding to both my personal history and the railroad's.